We got some news to get into, boys. We have official release dates for 12.0.7 and a bunch of news that Blizzard dropped along with that release date in terms of some new stuff coming they hadn't even mentioned yet. Also, a really cool little tweak to a famous or infamous tracking thing that people use in WoW for DPS. So let's just talk about it real quick. Here we go. 12.0.7 Revelations will be arriving on June 16th, boys. Big news there, or old news. If you've been watching Samiccus, you know Samiccus predicted this when? 4 weeks ago. I told you guys this patch was arriving on June 16th. Not to pat myself on the back, but, you know, just another prophetic moment from Samiccus. For those of you that do follow, I mean, you just get this shit way earlier than anybody else. What can I say? Sam called it. Yeah, you know, I did. What can I say? Anyways, 12.0.7, some of the stuff that's coming with this, and some of the new things that Blizzard announced with this release date here. We got to dive in. We also have kind of dates for when everything is going to happen in this patch. It doesn't all release on June 16th, so there's kind of a timeline laid out here by Blizzard. First of all, we know Turbulent Timeways, 2 new zones, Val and Nagital, and the new power for players, the Omnium Folio, which we'll talk about a little bit here, and more. So let's just dive straight in here. Val and Nagital. These are 2 recycled zones from Legion. We've talked about this a little bit. So we're getting 2 new zones that you can access through this portal out here in Voidstorm. Yeah. So you go out in Voidstorm, you can enter the portal, you can select a difficulty, go into these new zones, complete a bunch of quests, and do a bunch of things. There's a lot of stuff in here that we'll talk about here in a second, but these portals to these 2 new worlds are unstables. It switches destinations every week, so you can't choose which one you go to. Every week you can go to the other one, so anything you want to get done, you got to get done in the week it's available, or else you have to wait another week to go back to that same zone. This brings a rotating set of challenges and experiences. Players can undertake world quests, defeat rare enemies, take part in new events, and ultimately have a showdown with the leaders as world bosses. Now, these world bosses, we'll talk about them in a little bit. They're touted as more than just your average, Joanne Fabric world boss. And by that, I mean, it's pretty there's nothing really to it. You just walk in, get what you need to get, and get the fuck out. You probably never even show up ever again after that. Anyways, that's why those stores are closed. Gain new power from the Omnium Folio. Join Magister Umbric and Grandmaster Romath on a mission to reconfigure and restore the Sunstrider Omnium. Now, what's really cool about this Omnium Folio is this thing is not just going to apply to certain aspects of Midnight or whatever, and it's also not supposed to just be this patch. This is supposed to carry through the entirety of the expansion. This is going to be boosting us up for the rest of this expansion. Now, one thing that's interesting about it is we're not getting a boost to any of the current content, but this is going to give us a major power boost in this current content. So what I mean by that is we're not seeing raid bosses get buffed. We're not seeing any of the dungeons get buffed right now. We are literally just going to walk into this content that we're currently doing way more powerful than we have been in the previous weeks, which in essence means this is going to be like a soft nerf to a lot of content right now. Heroic Lura, maybe going to be a little bit easier with this thing going. Also, you'll be able to kind of change out things with this on the fly. There's no real cost to it once we fill it all out, so you'll be able to set it up for Mythic Plus, set it up for raiding, with delves, whatever you want to do. You'll be able to kind of customize your loadout, and of course there will be optimum ones that we'll talk about as we progress here through Wowhead and everything else. Yes, there will be perfect ways to do it for every class, of course. This ancient elven relic was originally created by Dathramar Sunstrider to study and observe the various schools of magic and to serve as an academic repository. After years of silence, the Sunstrider Omnium has now reawakened, unsettling the Magisters and sowing disarray among them. So there's a little bit of lore for you guys. Yes, once unlocked, you'll be entrusted with the Omnium Folio, a runic ledger containing powerful runes and power that you can use in battle, continue taking part in weekly activities to imbue more runes. This is going to take a couple weeks to unlock, I believe 5 or 6 in total. I could be wrong on that, but I know it is kind of time-gated. So yes, it will take us a couple weeks to fully empower this thing, but once empowered, it'll last basically the rest of the expansion. 5 weeks there? Yeah, so it's a 5-week quest stain. Yep, that's what it is. So 5 weeks, we'll have this thing fully loaded out, essentially every week acting as a soft nerf on all the rest of the content in the game. Now prepare to face Rotmire and Sporefall. That's right, we're getting a new raid. We know this, we have a single boss raid coming. This thing is going to be the first ever Mythic Flex raid, allowing 15 to 25 players to complete this thing on Mythic raiding difficulties. For Heroic raid, it's also going to be available, obviously, normal and raid finder as well. All of these will unlock at the same time. You'll earn a variety of new rewards, including the Luminous Spore Glider mount. We talked about this. It's actually a pretty nice looking mount. I'm not a big fan a lot of times of these Spore style looking mounts, but this one's pretty cool. It's a little change up on the, obviously on the Dragonhawk mount. It's right in the same skeleton there. So nice one. Definitely a boss that a lot of people are going to want to do. Probably some biz items, or like at least one biz item for everybody coming out of this thing. Also, Spore fused gear. Don't forget about that. All the gear that will be dropping from this thing is going to be about a higher item level too. So it's definitely going to be something we're going to want to use. If not to convert tier gear. I don't know. That's higher level tier gear. So why not? Yep. Go lore walking with the Loa. Experience the lore and Loa with assistant lore walker Lili. You'll dive deeper into the stories of the Zandalari, Drakari, Gurubashi, and the Darkspear Trolls. That's right, we're getting another lore walking event. These lore walking things are really cool. If you've never done one before, it's basically a story mode, kind of a mode that'll teach you about some of the lore in the game. Interestingly enough, we're learning about the Loa. Everybody feels like this is a prelude or a lead-in to the next patch, which is probably going to be a Zandalari troll-based patch. We're going to get a lot of Loa lore there. We're talking about 12.1. Yes, we're already getting into that. And this is probably kind of setting us up to know the lore. So this is really cool. I'm excited for this. This time we're doing it with Lili. That's right, Lore Walker Cho, Mr. Big Chode himself, is not going to be talking this time, unfortunately. I don't know what happened with the voice actor, the Winnie the Pooh voice actor. I hope he's all right. But yeah, he's getting older, so maybe they're just passing the baton on to Lili. But yes, she will be the one narrating the lore walking as you walk through it this time around. And then also, help Loa speaker Breck hatch Genelize new eggs. That's right. We have new eggs. If you've been hatching eggs all along, she's ready to bring a new clutch of eggs into the world. But Loa speaker Breck requires assistance with a ceremony to ensure that the Loa's young release safely from their eggs. So the continuation of this quest line, if you guys want to get into that. June 27th, we'll see the micro holiday, the Darkspear Dash. That's right. This was a player-led event for a long time. Now Blizzard is essentially officially incorporated in the game. There's going to be new items and stuff available with this event if you want to get that done. Pretty cool. Turbulent Timeways returns on June 30th. We'll talk a little bit more about Turbulent Timeways because Blizzard's completely changed up how this event's going to work. So as I said before, we have the patch releasing on June 16th, Turbulent Timeways releasing on June 30th. We'll talk more about how Blizzard actually is not only adding Dragonflight, but they're changing the way the buffs and everything else work. This is really cool. We'll talk about it in a second. And then begin the next chapter of the Zul'Jan questline starting July 7th. That's right. We have July 7th kicking off a new Amani Troll questline towards the end of this patch, basically, like I said before, probably leading us into 12.1, where we'll see more Loa stuff and more Amani Troll stuff. Basically, here the little tidbit they have is when the Harnir call for the special gathering, Zul'Jan attends as an Amani Troll representative, only to be drawn into ancient mysteries surrounding the legacy of the Amani Trolls. Join him and his uncle Kinduru on their journey for discovering and uncovering the truth. That's right. So, yeah, we're going to get more Zul'Jan lore, which is cool. I think Zul'Jan's a cool character. Yes, he's been a little bit abrasive at times recently, but I'm interested to see kind of where they take him. Is he just going to be another dude in the game who gets all messed up and goes evil, and then his sister is going to take over? Maybe. Or there's going to be maybe some more nuance to him. We'll see where they take his character. Playable Amani Trolls just still irks me, but it is what it is. We're not getting that. Okay, talking about Turbulent Timeways, because there is a change up here that's going to make this event much more cool and easier to do. So we have it here running from June 30th to August 11th. Interesting that it ends, just at August 11th when I told you guys that Tuesday is probably when the next season's going to kick off. Anyways, I digress. Just another prediction from Samiccus that's probably going to come true. But anyways, time walking through the previous expansions each week for 6 consecutive weeks, beginning and ending with Dragonflight. That's right, Dragonflight is entering the time-walking extravaganza now. This grand tour from World of Warcraft's past 6 time-walking dungeons, Algathar Academy, Halls of Infusion, Neltharis, Ruby Life Pools, the Azure Vaults, and Brackenhide Hollow. So this is how they're changing it up. Time to get buffed, guys. They're going to change how the Knowledge of the Timeways buffs works. This thing is now going to be account-wide. That's right. It's going to be account wide. So not only does that mean the buff is going to be better, obviously, for all your tunes and your alts and everything else, but it's also going to change how you earn the special Timeways mount. That's right. So let's talk a little bit about how Blizzard's changing this for this event. For the first time ever, this thing's going to be account wide. Time Walking Dungeons during event will give you the Knowledge of the Timeways buff, granting you a 5% increase to experience when killing monsters and completing quests. Completing a Time Walking Dungeon increases the effects and extends the duration. We know that this thing stacks up to 4 times. This buff is a stacking buff, 4 applications. It transforms into the Masteries of the Timeways. Now, if you know what the Masteries of the Timeways is, it is the maxed out buff, 30% buff to everything you're getting. What's interesting about it this time around is it's account wide. So you can run one dungeon on one character, get that 5%. Then go to another character, run it. Now you upped it to 10 or 15%. You keep going from there all the way to 30. Doesn't matter which characters you're running it on. That buff is just account wide. Now, previously, to get the Mastery of the Timeways buff, you had to do 4 dungeons all at one character in 1 week, stacking that buff over and over. And remember, you got to do that multiple times to eventually get the mount. You got to do it 4 weeks in a row this time. Previously, it was 6 weeks in a row that you had to get the Mastery of the Timeways buff to unlock the, Time Walking mount, the special. This time around, we have the Spawn of Viranath. This one's going to be a 4-week unlock. So getting the buff 4 weeks in a row, or 4 of the 6 weeks that this event is available, will unlock this mount for you. Now, as I said before, getting the buff now is going to be much easier because if you have 4 tunes, you basically run one Time Walking Dungeon on each tune, and you'll unlock the mount, or unlock the buff for that week. So a nice little change up from Blizzard on that. I like that a lot more. Obviously, it gives you more flexibility in how you're going to get the buff and which characters you're going to play, which is great. And again, this time it's 4 weeks. Previously, it was 6. So that's great. Overall, this event is going to last 6 weeks, so you can miss 2 weeks and still get the Viranath buff. And also, just an FYI, this thing will be available in the next Time Walking event if you just so happen to not get this thing because you're on vacation or something like I always end up being. You can't just do Time Walking with 1 tune each week. You have to actually do it on 1 tune. No, not anymore. Not anymore. That's right. You can actually do it on different ones. So, yeah, the Timeways thing, what's nice about it is it's account wide now. Don't let time pass you by. That's right. So now we have Dragonflight. The way this is going to work, June 30th, this thing will kick off with Dragonflight. Following July 7th, we'll have Battle for Azeroth Time Walking. July 14th, we'll have Shadowlands Time Walking. July 21st, we'll have Classic Time Walking. That's right, I like this one a lot with the Dead Mines and everything else. These are cool. And then July 28th, we'll have Burning Crusade Time Walking. And then again, wrapping it all up on August 4th to 11th, we'll have a Dragonflight Time Walking once again. So that's how that's going to work. Remember, 4 of these 6 weeks, you'll have to get that buff. When you do, it'll all work out and you'll get that mount. As I said before, though, if you miss out on the mount, this was the one from the previous Time Walking event. You can now purchase it with... I always forget what this damn currency is called. Time Walking currency. That's what I'll call it. It's the Time Walking freaking badges. The little blue helmet. You can use those to purchase mounts from previous Timeways events or Time Walking events. So this time we had these bronze versions of the Shadowlands mounts. You'll be able to now purchase them from the Time Walking vendor in Dalaran. Just go and buy that and you're all set. You can use your Time Warp badges. That's what they're called, Time Warp badges. Yes, I just had a Time Warp moment there and remembered it. Okay, with Val and Najatal, we know these 2 new zones are coming. As I said before, pretty big deal in the fact that they are giving us a Heroic World tier with this. And supposedly, Heroic World tier is at a whole nother difficulty. Gonna be much harder, gonna actually give you better loot. So there's interesting stuff coming with this. Actually, there's gonna be a quest available for the first time you actually run through Heroic World tier. That'll give you a myth track piece of gear. That's right, the first ever time in World of Warcraft history where you can get myth track gear from world content, essentially. So, yeah, rejoice all the Gregs of Accounting who never raid. This is your chance for myth track gear. Join the Illidari and the Army of the Light as they venture into Val and Najatal to confront the leaders of the Void. Now, by the way, speaking of leaders, there are 2 specific world bosses here that are going to be pretty difficult. People have described them really as like open world raid bosses. There's mechanics to them. There's all kinds of stuff. Could be a complete shit show, if I'm being honest. I'm already imagining this shit being real difficult. But basically what Blizzard's saying is you're not going to be able to show up. You're not going to be able to show up and do this with just like 5 people. That's not going to work out. that you're going to basically need a 40-man raid, or at least 40 people in the zone actually killing these guys to get it done. So for the 2 zones, for one, we have Imperator Peritinex in Val, and then we have Nexus Captain Lethier in Najatal. As I said before, these guys are going to be pretty difficult. They're going to have mechanics to do, things to get done, and they'll have pretty good loot. Let's talk about some of that in loot. First of all, on normal mode, if you defeat the world boss, you will receive a champion item for your warband. If you defeat the heroic version, you will receive a heroic piece of gear for your warband. That's right, heroic item level for your warband. As far as other rewards go, field accolades on normal, you'll be getting them for doing quests, events, killing rares, and everything else. Field accolades on heroic, same thing, looting treasures increased. The treasures you loot, though, will be increased because you're running on heroic difficulty. And then lost armaments. Defeat rare foes, and you have a chance to get a piece of champion, 1 of 6 gear for your warband on normal mode. But if you're running on heroic and you defeat rare foes, you will have a champion's 4 of 6 piece of gear for your warband. So that's right, you can basically get champion, heroic, and as I said before, there's that quest for myth track gear all through these events, all through these open world content. So that's really cool. Adventure continues all week. Continue to push against the forces of the void by participating in world quests and events and taking on rare enemies and overseers and elites. So there you go. And then there's this right here, a full transmog set that'll be able to be gotten from these events. It's a void-looking version of a lot of the gear that we already have, so pretty cool. If you're into the purple looks of a lot of this shit, you'll be able to do this. Sam, you used to be able to get the buff on one tune, then the following week do it on another tune to refresh the buff and so forth. That's true, but now every week you can get the buff and it's just on all your tunes. Doesn't matter. You don't have to run it all on a single tune every week. That's the change up they made this time around, Cam Shady, but thank you for clarifying that. And then also, we have some decor items. For the decor whores out there, plenty of decor to be had from 12.0.7 through these open world events and content and stuff. So that's great for anyone who wants that. Moving on to the final piece of content here. Something outside of 12.0.7, something outside of WoW, but something that a lot of people who play WoW know about. We have Warcraft logs here, and they're actually moving to the Archon app. What this thing is here, it actually tracks live video, records live video of your parses. This is great because a lot of people are going to have videos of themselves just fucking standing in fire while you yell at them to move. Basically, this thing will now record and actually show the abilities that you're doing them as you're doing them. Let me move my little frame here so you guys can see this. That's right. So fully recorded video of your parses. So now my gray parses can be fully recorded now for everyone to watch and see if you download the app. Going through, it'll show the abilities you're using them, when you're using them in live time, with the synced up with the recorded video. A new add-on I will not be downloading this. No, I will not be downloading this app or anything like that, but I'm calling it out for the people because I know a lot of people care about their parses and shit. So this is a new thing from Archon. If you want to download it, I'll link this in the chat and down below for anyone who actually wants this thing. You'll be able to go in. What is less than a gray? Yeah, right. So cool stuff from the Archon team. Honestly, they do great work. Parsing and everything. It's a part of WoW culture, yes, as much as I hate it. So this will be a cool new feature for a lot of people to use. Exciting for the stuff that's coming out, guys. Like I said before, June 16th. Hey, your boy called it. What can I say? And that's for today. That is all in terms of news.